This film is Pacific Rim Uprising, released in 2018. Before watching this movie, it is recommended to first understand the storyline of the previous Pacific Rim film to avoid confusion. The link is already available in the description column. At the beginning of the film, viewers are shown a flashback from the previous movie. It tells the story of giant monster attacks that emerged from an interdimensional portal located along tectonic plates at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. These monsters were sent by an alien race called the Precursors, who come from another dimension and intend to wipe out all life on Earth. As a form of resistance, humanity eventually united and created their own weapons in the form of giant robots called Jaegers. Because of their massive size, Jaegers must be controlled by two pilots who are mentally linked. Humanity's struggle was not easy, but the Jaeger forces led by Marshal Stacker Pentecost finally managed to close the interdimensional portal forever, although it cost Stacker his life. This story focuses on Jake Pentecost, the son of Stacker Pentecost. 10 years have passed since his father's heroic sacrifice to close the portal. Many cities around the world have managed to recover, but many others failed to rebuild, especially coastal cities that were directly affected by kaiju attacks. Unlike most people, Jake chooses to live freely among the ruined cities. To support his lifestyle, he steals various items and trades them for whatever he needs. One night, Jake and several other thieves sneak into a heavily guarded Jaeger scrapyard owned by the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps in California. Jake plans to steal high-tech Jaeger spare parts, as many people are willing to pay a very high price for them. Jake and his group enter the body of a wrecked Jaeger. Their target is a plasma capacitor. Using his tracking device, Jake moves deeper inside. However, the three men suddenly point guns at him. They are angry because Jake had previously stolen their property, and now they want him to replace it with the plasma capacitor they are about to steal. When Jake finally reaches the room indicated by his tracker, he finds that the plasma capacitor is already gone. The three men become even angrier and start beating him. Realizing that someone else has taken the capacitor first, Jake immediately runs away to chase the thief, while the three men chase him, believing Jake had lied to them. Thanks to his knowledge of the area, Jake manages to outsmart his pursuers and locks them inside a hidden room within the Jaeger wreck. Outside, Jake sees the capacitor thief escaping on a motorcycle, chased by several security patrol cars. The next day, at an unknown location, the thief enters a warehouse. Shortly after, Jake manages to get inside through a window using his plasma capacitor tracker. Inside the warehouse, Jake hears strange noises, sees hanging cables, and grows increasingly curious. As he moves further in, he is shocked to see a small Jaeger standing before him. Suddenly, Jake is attacked from behind by the capacitor thieves. It turns out the thief is a teenage girl. She claims that the small Jaeger is her own creation, and she names it Scrapper. Jake offers to sell Scrapper, saying he has connections who would pay a lot of money for it, but the girl firmly refuses. Scrapper is not for sale. While they are arguing, police sirens are heard and the warehouse is surrounded. The girl quickly runs into Scrapper. Confused, Jake ends up entering the cockpit as well. Jake is surprised to see that Scrapper has only one pilot seat, unlike normal Jaegers. The girl explains that Scrapper is a small Jaeger and therefore does not require two pilots. While escaping through the streets, Scrapper suddenly crashes into a police Jaeger named November Ajax. The Jaeger orders Scrapper to surrender because it does not have an operating license. However, Scrapper continues to run, avoiding November Ajax's pursuit. Several times, Scrapper manages to disrupt its opponent, but its strength is clearly no match. Eventually, Scrapper is disabled, and Jake and the girl are arrested. In detention, Jake and the girl argue with each other. The girl introduces herself as Amara Namani. Not long after, Jake is called by an officer because someone wants to see him. A hologram appears before him. The figure is Mako Mori, Jake's adoptive sister. Mako looks annoyed by Jake's actions as he keeps stealing and causing trouble. Jake asks Mako for help to free him. Mako finally agrees on one condition: Jake must return to the Jaeger pilot base. Mako wants Jake to become an instructor for the new generation of Jaeger pilots, including Amara. Jake is shocked by the decision, but despite his frustration, he has no choice but to accept it.
Jake and Amara finally arrive at the Jaeger Pilot Academy on Moyalan Island. After getting off the helicopter, Amara looks confused about why she was brought there as well. Jake then explains that Amara successfully built and piloted a Jaeger on her own, which caught the military's attention. Not long after, Amara is left in awe when she sees Jaeger Valor Omega walking right in front of her. the military also brings Scrapper to the base. There, Jake and Amara are welcomed by Nate Lambert, Jake's former teammate from his academy days. At that moment, Amara realizes that Jake's last name is Pentecost, the son of Stacker Pentecost, the hero who sacrificed his life to seal the Kaiju portal. Amara continues to be amazed by everything around her. She sees various advanced Jaegers, including Titan Redeemer, Bracer Phoenix, piloted by 3 people, and Saber Athena, known as the fastest Jaeger in the world at the time. Amara then asks Nate which Jaeger he pilots, and Nate answers that he is the pilot of Gypsy Avenger. Nate then takes Amara to the cadet dormitory, where the future Jaeger pilots stay, so she can join the others. At the dorm, Amara receives a cold welcome from a cadet named Victoria Malaikova. However, another cadet, Jin Hai, helps Amara and explains that Malaikova is jealous because she had to struggle hard to get into the academy, while Amara was accepted so easily. Jin Hai even offers to teach Amara some Russian so she can communicate better with Malaikova. A short time later, a simulation of a kaiju attack on a city is shown. Jaeger Titan Redeemer is deployed to face the kaiju, but the monster appears too powerful and manages to defeat the Jaeger. It turns out that the entire event is only a training simulation. During the exercise, Amara fails to perform a perfect drift with her assigned partner. Nate looks disappointed with Amara's performance. Jake tries to defend her, but this only leads to an argument between Jake and Nate. That night, Nate finds Jake relaxing in the kitchen while eating ice cream. Nate confronts him and asks why he seems so unserious about training the cadets. Jake believes it is all pointless since the kaiju have been gone for 10 years. However, Nate explains that the military is still investigating the true purpose behind the precursors sending kaiju to Earth because the threat has not completely disappeared. Jake admits that he wants to leave the Jaeger program. Nate then tells him that the next day, Shawn Industries will introduce remotely controlled drone Jaegers. If the project succeeds, there is a strong chance that human-piloted Jaegers will be shut down. Nate reminds Jake that he could be so much more than this, then walks away. The following day, a delegation from Shawn Industries arrives at the academy, led by Shaoli Men and Newton Geisler, who now works for the company. They are welcomed by the current head of the Jaeger program, Marshal Kwan. Mako Mori is also present at the meeting and is clearly happy to see Jake back. Not long after, Herman Gottlieb appears and greets Newton, his old friend whom he has not seen in a long time. Herman invites Newton to check out his latest discovery, a rocket propulsion system that could send Jaegers to the battlefield much faster. Newton doubts the idea, arguing that Jaegers are far too heavy to be launched by rockets. However, Herman explains that he has discovered an extremely powerful energy reaction when kaiju blood is combined with rare elements from Earth. Newton dismisses the discovery as pointless, believing that Shawn Industries' drone technology will soon be approved and deployed worldwide. Confident in his view, Newton then leaves Herman behind.
Elsewhere, Shawn Industries demonstrated its remotely controlled drone Jaeger technology in front of the Secretary General of Defense and Mako Mori. Shawn planned to deploy these drones across different parts of the world. However, several officers from the Jaeger program opposed the plan, arguing that they were warriors, not desk-bound operators. As the debate grew more heated, Mako Mori and Jake stepped out of the room. Outside, Mako expressed her concern that Shawn's technology was extremely vulnerable to hacking. Despite her warning, most of the council members still approved Shawn Industries' proposal. Mako then asked Jake and Nate to escort Gypsy Avenger as an honor guard for the council meeting in Australia. The next day, the Pan-Pacific Defense Council meeting was held in Sydney, Australia. From a distance, Gypsy Avenger was seen approaching the venue, transported by several helicopters. Elsewhere, Mako Mori also arrived by helicopter. However, just as she was about to enter the building, an unknown Jaeger suddenly emerged from the ocean and fired missiles toward the meeting hall. Gypsy Avenger immediately engaged the mysterious Jaeger in combat. In the middle of the fight, the helicopter carrying Mako Mori was struck by a missile. After disabling the enemy Jaeger, Gypsy Avenger attempted to catch Mako's falling helicopter, but failed. Jake rushed out of the cockpit and ran toward the helicopter wreckage. From above, 3 other Jaegers arrived at the battlefield, forcing the unknown Jaeger to retreat back into the ocean. Back at the Moylan base, Jake, still grieving, noticed that Amara continued training relentlessly. She refused to fall behind. Jake finally agreed to help Amara with a Jaeger drift simulation. During the drift, Jake witnessed flashes of Amara's painful past, her family being crushed to death by a kaiju. Fearing she was sinking too deeply into those memories, Jake immediately stopped the drift. Soon after, Jake was summoned to a room and shown Mako Mori's final message before her helicopter crashed. Herman Gottlieb revealed that the Jaeger which attacked Gypsy Avenger was named Obsidian Fury. Once Mako's message was fully decrypted, strange symbols within it turned out to be important clues. Herman was ordered to investigate them, while Jake became determined to discover who was truly piloting Obsidian Fury. Meanwhile, at Shawn Industries, Shao ordered preparations to launch all drone Jaegers within 48 hours after the council approved their deployment during an emergency meeting. Dozens of drones were seen ready for launch. In his apartment, Newton was seen talking to someone, revealed to be a kaiju brain. He once again performed a drift with it. At the cadet dormitory, Victoria mocked Amara, saying that Amara's Jaeger was small and useless. Tensions escalated when Amara responded in Russian, igniting Victoria's anger. The two began fighting until Nate arrived and broke it up. Nate recalled the words of the late Captain Mako Rory, "Anyone who joins the Jaeger forces is family, and family must learn to forgive one another." After things calmed, Jules Reyes summoned them to the laboratory. Herman explained that the symbol in Mako's message was not a logo, but a map of the Svarna Zemlya Islands near the Iberian Peninsula, an abandoned site where Jaeger cores were once constructed. Still fueled by anger over his sister's death, Jake requested permission to take Gypsy Avenger to investigate the islands. The next day, Gypsy Avenger arrived at Svarna Zemlya, but was suddenly attacked from afar by Obsidian Fury. Jake and Nate immediately pursued and engaged in a fierce battle. Obsidian Fury proved to be extremely powerful and highly tactical, but was eventually disabled. When the Obsidian Fury cockpit was opened, Jake and Nate were shocked to discover that its pilot was a kaiju brain. Back at the base, Herman examined the kaiju brain and found that its radioactive properties were different from previous kaiju. Genetic analysis revealed that the brain had been modified on Earth, indicating that humans had deliberately cloned and engineered the kaiju brain to control Obsidian Fury. In the hangar, Amara and the others entered Obsidian Fury out of curiosity. While inspecting the internal wiring, Jin Hai was splashed by a dangerous fluid that injured his hand. Panic broke out as everyone called for help. Shortly after, Amara was summoned and informed that her actions had enraged Marshal Kaidan. As a result, Amara was suspended from the Jaeger program for entering Obsidian Fury without authorization.
Jake tries to comfort Amara before her departure. However, Amara reveals that she has discovered something important. Obsidian Fury is using technology developed by Shao Industries. She recognizes the technology because she used to steal and study Shao Industries equipment in the past. Hearing this, Jake immediately orders Herman to meet Newton Geisler at Shao Industries and gather more information. In the dormitory, Amara's fellow cadets are clearly saddened by her departure, including Victoria. Victoria appears to have made peace with the situation and has forgiven Amara. Meanwhile, the global launch of all drone Jaegers is nearly complete. Suddenly, a connectivity failure strikes Shao Industries' drone control system. Technicians and pilots at headquarters collapse in pain as their nervous systems are attacked. At Moylan Shatterdome, 2 drones arrive just as Amara is being escorted out. Unexpectedly, something strange happens to the drones. Kaiju brains emerge from inside their mechanical bodies, turning them into living monsters. The drones go on a rampage, destroying everything around them. They manage to disable Valor Omega and bring down Titan Redeemer. At Shao Industries, Herman meets Newton and asks him for his help to stop the rampaging drones. Instead of helping, Newton confirms that all drones around the world have been fully launched. He admits that this has been his plan all along, to end the world, a plan he has been preparing for the past 10 years. It is revealed that Newton's mind has been possessed by the precursors ever since his first drift with a kaiju brain in the past. Across the globe, the drones gather and attempt to open a kaiju portal. At Moylan Shatterdome, a drone fires into the command center, killing Marshal Kaidan. Shao arrives and tries to kill the possessed Newton, but Herman stops him, believing that Newton can still be saved. This hesitation allows Newton to escape. Back at Moylan Shatterdome, 2 drones continue their rampage. One is taken down by Titan Redeemer, which turns out to still be operational, while the other crushes a Jaeger cockpit, killing the pilots inside. Just as the drone is about to attack Jake and the others, Shao remotely shuts down all the drones. Every drone across the world is deactivated, and the portal closes once again. However, Herman soon reads an emergency report. 3 kaiju have breached the defenses.
2 Category 4 kaiju, and 1 Category 5 kaiju. Jake, Nate, and Jules realize that the only Jaeger still operational is Gypsy Avenger, as the other pilots were killed during the earlier drone attacks. Jake then sees Amara and the remaining cadets. He asks Amara to help Jules repair the last surviving Jaeger. Shortly afterward, hundreds of Shaw Industries helicopters arrive to assist the Jaeger forces in repairing the damaged units. While tracking the kaiju movement, Jake realizes that all 3 kaiju are headed toward Mount Fuji in Japan. Herman explains that Mount Fuji contains a large concentration of rare earth elements. If these elements react with kaiju blood, it would trigger a massive explosion, setting off a chain reaction along the Pacific Ring of Fire. Billions of toxic gases would flood Earth's atmosphere, wiping out all life. The problem is that the distance is too great to stop the kaiju in time. Nate then asks about the readiness of Herman's rocket technology. Herman admits that the technology has never been tested, but due to the urgency of the situation, he can prepare it by daylight. Everyone works tirelessly to repair the remaining Jaegers. Jules manages to bring 4 Jaegers back online, but a major question remains: who will pilot them? Jake answers that he has found the right people. He looks at Amara and the other cadets and explains that this is no longer a training exercise. No matter who they are or where they come from, they are now a family. Jake asks them to stand with him and save the world.
They then enter the Jaegers that have been prepared. Amara, Jinhai, and Victoria pilot Bracer Phoenix. Saber Athena is piloted by Renata and Royce, while Jake and Nate are inside Gypsy Avenger. The 4 Jaegers are launched toward Japan using Herman's rocket-assisted launch system. Meanwhile, the kaiju have reached Tokyo. They go on a rampage, destroying everything in their path. Civilians flee for safety, rushing into anti-kaiju bunkers. Shortly after, all 4 Jaegers land at the battlefield. When Gypsy Avenger strikes the largest kaiju, it turns out the creature can absorb the impact and redirect the force, sending Gypsy Avenger flying backward. Guardian Bravo also joins the fight and saves Saber Athena. A massive battle erupts, with all the Jaegers unleashing their full strength around the Shaw Industries Japan branch building. Inside the building, Newton activates something. Thousands of small robotic units are released and move toward the battlefield. At Moylan's Shatterdome, Sean realizes that everything happening is part of Newton's plan. The small robots cause the 3 kaiju to merge into one, creating the largest kaiju ever seen, the Mega Kaiju. Jake orders all Jaegers to fight with everything they have. However, one by one, the Jaegers begin to fall. Guardian Bravo charges forward alone, but is thrown aside and destroyed. Amara survives the attack, but Jinhai is killed. Now only Gypsy Avenger, Bracer Phoenix, and Saber Athena remain. Command reports that the Mega Kaiju has 3 brains inside its body. Gypsy Avenger leaps forward and attacks, successfully destroying one of the kaiju's brains. However, Saber Athena is impaled and destroyed, followed by Bracer Phoenix, which is torn apart and destroyed as well. In the end, only Gypsy Avenger remains. Amara and the other pilots manage to escape using their emergency pods. With its remaining strength, Gypsy Avenger tries to stop the Mega Kaiju, but Jake loses consciousness, leaving the Jaeger impossible to control with only one pilot. The Mega Kaiju continues its march toward Mount Fuji. Seeing this, Amara leaps in and enters Gypsy Avenger's cockpit. Nate ejects using an escape pod, and Amara takes his place. Together, Jake and Amara successfully drift, allowing Gypsy Avenger to rise once more. As the Mega Kaiju nears the summit of Mount Fuji, Jake comes up with a plan to use Herman's final rocket launcher to propel Gypsy Avenger into the atmosphere and strike the Mega Kaiju from above. However, the rocket's location is far away. Suddenly, Scrapper, remotely controlled by Sean, arrives to help. Scrapper carries the rocket launcher and attaches it to Gypsy Avenger. They launch into the sky, with Scrapper clinging to Gypsy Avenger's back. From above, Gypsy Avenger prepares for the final strike. Jake uses plasma fire to guide the attack. Then Gypsy Avenger accelerates at extreme speed and slams into the Mega Kaiju just before it reaches Mount Fuji's crater. A massive shockwave erupts. The Mega Kaiju briefly rises again, but soon collapses and is finally killed. Everyone erupts in cheers, celebrating their victory. Elsewhere, Nate manages to capture Newton. Before being taken away, the precursor-controlled Newton warns that they will not stop and will continue coming to Earth sooner or later. Jake responds firmly, declaring that humanity will not wait to be attacked, because next time, humans will be the ones coming for them. Thus, the story of Pacific Rim Uprising comes to an end.